You'll have the both of us tonight, Korean billionaire twins told their young virgin black woman wife Zaria Benson. Rain hammered the glass roof of the Jong family's private ceremony hall, each drop echoing Zaria Benson's heartbeat. She stood in a silk dress she hadn't chosen, in a marriage she hadn't expected, between two men she barely knew, but who watched her like she was the axis their lives spun around. The Jong twins. Ha-jun, immaculate suit, cold composure, eyes sharp as polished obsidian. Min-jae, soft smirk, disarming warmth, dangerous charm wrapped in a boyish smile. They were identical and yet not at all the same. Zaria's hand trembled as each twin placed a ring on her finger. 2 rings. 2 husbands. 1 wife. Her throat tightened. What am I stepping into? The officiant's voice droned through the small hall, but Zaria barely heard anything. Not over the weight of the twins' attention. Ha-jun didn't blink the entire ceremony. His gaze locked on her like he was memorizing her fears, her pulse, every breath she took. Min-jae, on the other hand, watched her with something softer. Reassuring. Almost tender. But there was fire in both sets of eyes. When the final signature dried on the contract binding her to them, the rain softened. Almost like the sky accepted it. But Zaria did not. Her stomach twisted as Ha-jun extended his hand, palm up, formal and unreadable. Mrs. Jong, he said quietly. Steady. Commanding. The title hit her chest like a shockwave. She let him lead her outside the hall where luxury cars waited. Paparazzi were blocked tonight. The twins made sure of it. Still she felt exposed. Like she'd stepped into a life that watched her every thought. Inside the car, Min-jae slid in beside her, his thigh brushing hers. Electric. Intentional. You're shaking, he murmured, voice warm with a gentleness that melted right into her bones. I'm fine, she lied. Ha-jun glanced at her through the rearview mirror. You don't have to be, he said. Those 4 simple words struck deeper than any romantic confession she'd ever imagined. Arrival at the penthouse. The Jong penthouse towered over the city, glass, steel and quiet wealth. When they stepped inside, Zaria sucked in a breath. Everything was immaculate. Cold. Grand. Untouched. Like the twins themselves. Ha-jun closed the door behind them, locking out the world with a soft click that made her pulse jump. You'll be staying in the main suite, he announced. Min-jae chuckled. She says it like she had a choice. Zaria turned sharply, but Min-jae stepped closer, lifting a curl of her hair. Don't be scared. We're not here to hurt you. His voice was a warm breeze. Ha-jun's presence was a shadow behind her. 2 forces closing in. She felt the tension twisting through the air. Not threatening, but unmistakably intimate. Min-jae leaned in just enough that his breath skimmed her cheek. You're our wife now. The words weren't seductive. They were truth. That means, he whispered, you won't sleep alone. Zaria's breath caught. Ha-jun stepped forward then, calm and decisive. You'll have the both of us tonight. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Not in the way she feared. Not in the way she secretly wondered about. Ha-jun reached out slowly, slow enough for her to step back if she wanted. She didn't. He touched her chin gently. You're safe with us now. It is our responsibility to protect you. Min-jae moved behind her, resting a hand lightly on her shoulder. And in this house, his voice dipped lower, you never walk into a room alone. Zaria swallowed hard, trapped in their twin orbit. Heat radiated from both of them, her nerves buzzing. I've never, she whispered, unable to finish. Ha-jun's eyes softened, like falling ice melting. We know. Min-jae's fingers slid down her arm, slow, respectful, still sending sparks everywhere. We're not rushing you, Min-jae said. Just holding what's ours. Ha-jun's gaze darkened. For tonight you'll sleep between us. Zaria froze. Between them? Her legs wobbled. Min-jae smiled like he could feel her reaction. Ha-jun's jaw tightened like he felt it too. The twins exchanged a silent look. A look only brothers who shared more than blood could understand. Then Ha-jun took her hand. Min-jae took the other. Between the two of them, Zaria was guided toward the bedroom. Her heart pounding. Her innocence trembling on the edge of something entirely new. And both twins watching her like she was the one thing they had ever agreed to share. And she knew. Tonight nothing would happen. But everything had changed. The Jong penthouse was always quiet in the mornings. Not peaceful, but sharp. Like the air held its breath around the twins. Zaria learned quickly that Ha-jun woke before sunrise. By the time she stepped out of her room, he was already in his home office, suit jacket on, hair perfect, eyes absorbed in glowing screens filled with numbers and power. He barely acknowledged anyone in the mornings. Except her. That day she entered timidly, carrying a tray with freshly brewed tea, something she had insisted on doing herself despite the house staff. Zarya tapped lightly on the door. "Come in," Hajun said instantly, like he had been waiting for her. The moment she stepped inside, he sat back in his chair, watching her with that unreadable razor-sharp gaze. It was like he assessed everything, her nervous fingers, her careful steps, the soft tremble in her breath. "You brewed this yourself?" he asked. "Yes. I thought you might like." "I do." He didn't smile, but something in his voice softened enough to make her chest warm. She set the cup down on his desk. His hand brushed hers, barely a graze, a whisper of contact, yet heat shot straight up her arm. She pulled back quickly. Hajun noticed. He always noticed. The conversation she didn't expect. "Sit." He gestured to the seat across from him. She obeyed, folding her hands in her lap. "Zarya," he began, leaning forward on his elbows, "you're adapting well to this house." "Thank you. But you're still too quiet around Minjae." Her cheeks warmed. Why would you say that?" "Because he gets excited by softness." His gaze sharpened. "By innocence." Zarya's breath hitched. Hajun continued, voice smooth and calm like a blade sliding from its sheath. "He will pull you to his side if you let him." "I don't understand," she whispered. Hajun stood. Walked around the desk. Stopped right in front of her. "Close. Too close." "You think this marriage is simple?" he asked softly. "It's not. There are decisions made years before you entered our lives. Lines already drawn." Zarya swallowed. "Are you saying you and your brother are against each other?" Hajun's eyes flickered, something dark, old, wounded. "We are twins," he said. "But that does not mean we are aligned." He crouched slightly, meeting her eye level. Her breath trembled at his proximity. "Minjae is reckless. Emotional." Hajun's voice dropped. "He feels something and he acts on it." She hesitated. "And you?" He held her gaze steady, deep. "I feel something," he said quietly, "and I think before I touch it." Zarya's heart thudded. He wasn't talking about business anymore. A moment too intimate. She stood to create some space. Hajun did too. They ended up inches apart. His hand lifted, slow, deliberate. He was going to touch her cheek. Then he stopped. Zarya breathed in sharply at the tension. Hajun noticed that too. His eyes darkened. "You're still afraid of me," he murmured. "I'm not afraid." "Yes, you are." A faint, dangerous smirk. "And yet you walked in here alone." Zarya felt heat rush to her face. "I came to bring you tea. And now you're letting me corner you." Her pulse pounded. She stepped back. He followed, just half a step but enough to make her breath catch. Then he stopped himself, jaw tightening in restraint. "You should be careful," he said softly. "Minjae will take advantage of every moment you give him." "And you won't?" she whispered. Silence. Heavy. Loaded. Hajun held her gaze like a man starving and furious about it. "No," he finally said, voice nearly a growl. "Not unless you ask." The room spun around her. The night revelation. That evening, when Zarya lay in bed between the two twins, like she had every night since the wedding, she finally drifted into an exhausted sleep. But something woke her. A shift in the mattress. A soft inhale. Warmth behind her. Hajun. She had turned in her sleep and curled into him. Head resting near his chest. Arm draped lightly over his waist. Her breath caught, she tried to pull away. But Hajun's hand gently, instinctively, settled at her waist. Not possessive. Not demanding. Protective. Minjae slept on her other side, unaware. Hajun wasn't. He felt every inch of her trembling against him. He didn't speak. He didn't move her. He simply held her. The man who claimed he didn't act on emotion. And did not let her go until morning. The rooftop garden was the only place in the Zhang penthouse that felt alive. Wild vines crawled up glass walls, soft lantern lights glowed in the dusk, and the city spread around them like a sea of falling stars. Minjae dragged Zarya up there with no explanation. Just a mischievous grin and a hand wrapped around hers, warm and firm. "Come on," he whispered. "You stay locked inside too much. You deserve air." She didn't argue. Not when his smile made her chest flutter. Not when his fingers laced with hers so naturally her knees nearly buckled. When they reached the top, Zarya gasped. The wind brushed her curls, the lights reflected in her eyes, and Minjae looked at her like this moment was a secret carved just for them. "You like it?" he asked, breathless with anticipation. It's beautiful, she said softly. You're beautiful. Her heart jolted. He didn't say it playfully. He said it like a confession. The star moment. Min-jae stepped closer, too close. Zarya's pulse stuttered as he tilted her chin up gently. Ha-jun thinks he controls everything, he murmured, eyes flicking down to her lips before meeting her gaze again. But he doesn't control what I feel. She swallowed, feeling the heat of him radiating into her. But we barely know each other, she whispered. Min-jae smiled, tender and devastating. Wrong. I notice everything about you. His voice lowered. The way you hold your breath when you're nervous. The way your hands shake when Ha-jun looks at you too long. The way you say my name like you're afraid to want me. Her lips parted. I'm not. You are. He leaned in, forehead brushing hers. And that's okay. Zarya trembled. She had never been this close to a man before, let alone one who looked at her like his entire world tilted toward her. Min-jae lifted a curl from her neck and let it slide through his fingers. You're ours, Zarya. But I want you to know something. His thumb brushed the corner of her mouth. I want you first. Her breath caught. Right as a cold voice sliced through the air. Ha-jun arrives. Min-jae. Zarya spun around. Ha-jun stood at the rooftop entrance, suit jacket off, shirt sleeves rolled, hair pushed back from rushing up the stairs. He looked furious. A storm barely held in human form. Min-jae didn't release her hand. If anything, he tightened his grip. Hyung, Min-jae said lazily, enjoying the view? Ha-jun stepped forward, jaw clenched, eyes locked on their joined hands. This wasn't the agreement. Oh. Min-jae smirked. Remind me which part said I can't stand too close to my wife? Ha-jun's gaze flicked to Zarya, soft, then sharp again as he turned to his twin. Let go of her. Zarya felt the air crackle. Ha-jun wasn't raising his voice, he didn't have to. His restraint was more terrifying than Min-jae's boldness. Min-jae leaned down, whispering near her ear. Don't worry. He's jealous. Ha-jun's fists closed. Min-jae. Enough. But Min-jae only laughed softly. What? You'll just stand there and watch her walk toward me again tomorrow. Zarya's heart raced. The twins were circling each other like magnets forced apart. Ha-jun's voice dropped to a dangerous low. You're doing this to provoke me. Min-jae shrugged. Maybe she likes it. Zarya gasped softly. Both men turned to her. Ha-jun's eyes softened for a moment. Zarya, he said quietly. You don't have to let him overwhelm you. Min-jae stepped behind her, voice a breath on her shoulder. Or maybe she wants someone who doesn't wait forever to touch her. Zarya's breath trembled, caught between fire and ice. The confrontation. Ha-jun's control snapped. He moved forward, grabbing Min-jae by the front of his shirt, pulling him away from her. You're not doing this to her, Ha-jun hissed. Not using her to fight me. Min-jae grabbed Ha-jun's wrist and shoved him off. I'm not using her. I'm choosing her. Ha-jun's jaw twitched. Then stop dragging her into your impulsiveness. She's my wife too. Then act like it. Zarya stepped forward, hands shaking. Stop, she cried. The twins froze. Instantly. Like her voice alone had the power to cut through years of rivalry. She looked at both of them, breath uneven. I'm not something to fight over. And I'm not choosing one of you. Her voice softened. I can't. Not yet. Ha-jun exhaled shakily. Min-jae's shoulders dropped. She walked past them both, heading toward the elevator. But before she stepped inside, she felt it. Two burning gazes on her back. Two men who were falling for her in entirely different ways. Two storms she was now caught between. And neither was letting go anytime soon. Zarya stood in the doorway of the private lounge. A forbidden room, dimly lit with amber lamps and filled with shadows that seemed to breathe. The twins rarely entered this space. They never brought anyone inside. Tonight, they brought her. Min-jae closed the door behind them with a soft click that felt louder than thunder. Ha-jun stood near the bar, rolling his sleeves up, slowly, deliberately, revealing the tension carved into his forearms. He said nothing at first. He just looked at Zarya. And that look alone made her knees soften. Min-jae approached her from behind, his voice a warm murmur against her spine. Relax, princess. We're not here to scare you. He slipped her coat off her shoulders, letting it fall into his hands. His fingers grazed her arms on the way down. Zarya inhaled sharply. The room suddenly felt too warm. Ha-jun stepped forward, eyes locked on her face, voice low. No games tonight, Min-jae. Min-jae smirked. Who's playing? Ha-jun's attention returned to Zarya. You've been married to us for weeks. His voice held a softness she wasn't used to hearing. Yet you flinch whenever we get close, he continued. And you avoid being alone with either of us for too long. Zarya lowered her gaze. I'm trying. We know, Minjae said behind her. He moved closer, close enough that her back brushed his chest. Her breath stuttered. Hajun stepped even closer, closing the small space between them so that she was surrounded by their heat. You're a virgin, he said quietly. You've never experienced any man's touch. Zarya's face burned. I'm just scared I'll disappoint you. Minjae stilled. So did Hajun. The silence that followed was sharp and immediate. Hajun lifted her chin, slow, careful as if she were fragile glass. Zarya. His voice was velvet steel. You could never disappoint us. Minjae's hand slid down her arm, gentle, reassuring. We don't want your body first, he whispered. We want your trust. Zarya blinked up at Hajun, shaken by the sincerity in his eyes. You don't expect anything from me? She asked. Hajun exhaled, a tense breath that made his chest brush hers. Nothing except honesty. Minjae leaned to her ear again. And maybe a little courage. She shivered. The moment they broke their own rules. Hajun took her hand. Not possessively, but with reverence. We asked you here tonight, he said, because we want to understand you. Not rush you. Minjae stepped around her, standing shoulder to shoulder with his twin. And we want you to understand us, he added, eyes softening. Not fear us. The twins exchanged a look. Silent, loaded, decades of unspoken things passing between them. Then Minjae held out his hand. Come sit with us. They guided her to a velvet couch, Zarya sitting between them. Minjae on her right, warmth spilling from his body. Hajun on her left, energy simmering like dark fire. Hajun spoke first. When you're ready. His fingers brushed her knee lightly. You will tell us. Minjae leaned in, his lips almost touching her shoulder. And we'll take care of the rest. The promise in his voice made her breath tremble. Their closeness, their united restraint, their attention focused solely on her. It was overwhelming, overpowering. A slow storm building in the air. Zarya felt something shift inside her. Something she couldn't name yet. Something deep. She whispered. How will I know, when I'm ready? Neither twin moved for a heartbeat. Then Hajun's hand came to rest over hers. You'll feel it. Minjae added. And when you do. He brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, voice low and warm. We'll be right here. Zarya's heart pounded against her ribs. For the first time she didn't feel owned. Or trapped. She felt chosen. Protected. Wanted in a way that wasn't about pressure but about promise. A three-way silence settled. Thick with longing. Charged with anticipation. And heavy with the unspoken truth they all felt. This marriage had just changed. The twins weren't competing. Not tonight. Tonight. They wanted her together. And Zarya didn't move away. The ride back to the penthouse felt like sitting between two storms. Minjun drove, jaw tight, eyes fixed on the road like every thought he had about you was dangerous. Jiho sat beside you in the back seat, his hand not touching you, but close. Too close. Close enough that every breath you took felt like a confession. No one spoke, but the air pulsed with everything that wanted to be said. When the elevator finally carried the three of you up to the penthouse's private floor, the twins still hadn't spoken to each other. That alone terrified you more than anything else. They always communicated. And now they were silent. The doors slid open. Jiho walked in first. Minjun followed, but paused, turning to you with a stare that made your knees soften. Come here, he said, voice low enough that the air itself seemed to vibrate. You stepped forward instinctively. Jiho leaned against the marble island, arms folded, watching Minjun study your face. Not with anger. Not with jealousy. But with something deeper. Something complicated. Do you know what you did tonight? Minjun asked. Your lips parted. I just kissed him. Wrong. Jiho's voice slid in like silk. You didn't just kiss me. You kissed me because you wanted to. That changes everything. Minjun took your chin gently between his fingers, lifting your gaze to his. And yet, he murmured, when I touched you, you trembled like I was the only one you'd ever wanted. Your breath caught. Jiho pushed off the counter and came behind you. You felt him before he touched you, his warmth, his aura, his quiet intensity. Minjun's thumb brushed your bottom lip. Why/n, he said, soft but warning, you can't run from what you feel for us. Not anymore. Jiho's breath ghosted over your ear. So we need to hear you say it. You swallowed hard. Your heart thrashed in your chest. Say what? They exchanged a look, tense, charged, unspoken in a way only twins could understand. Then Jiho whispered, "Which one of us you thought about first, when you realized you wanted more?" Your breath stuttered. Minjun exhaled sharply, jaw clenching. You could feel the tension ripping through him, through both of them. They were close enough to touch you. But neither did. Not yet. Jiho's voice dipped to a dangerous softness. Say a name. Your pulse hammered. I can't choose between you. You already did, Minjun murmured. Your body knows. Even if you don't want to admit it. Jiho's hand slid across your hip, not grabbing, not claiming, just resting. Warm. Heavy. Confident. Minjun's fingers followed the line of your jaw, tracing you like he had memorized you. You sucked in a shaky breath. I don't want to lose either of you, you whispered. Minjun's eyes softened, just for a fleeting second, before something darker replaced it. You won't, he said. But you will choose whose name you say first. Your lips parted. Your heartbeat trembled in your chest. Minjun leaned closer, so close his forehead nearly touched yours. Jiho's fingertips slid slowly, deliberately down your arm. Your mind screamed at you to decide. But your body wanted both. Suddenly Minjun stepped back. Jiho's hand stilled. The sudden cold air around you felt like punishment. Minjun spoke first. We're done for tonight. Your head snapped up. What? Why? Jiho's smirk returned, slow, dark, devastating. Because tomorrow? He turned your face toward him with one finger. You're going to tell us the truth. Minjun opened the door to their shared bedroom suite. Sleep, he ordered, voice deep. If you can. Jiho whispered, almost teasing. You'll need the strength. And they walked away, leaving you breathless, shaking, and desperate for the answer they already knew you were afraid to give. You didn't sleep. Not even for a minute. You kept replaying everything in your mind, the look in Jiho's eyes when you kissed him, the way Minjun's touch felt like it could rewrite your pulse, the impossible pressure between them as they asked for the one thing you couldn't give. A choice. By the time the morning sun crawled across the penthouse windows, your nerves were raw. Your heart felt bruised. Your thoughts were tangled in both men. You wrapped your scarf around your shoulders and stepped into the living room, and froze. The twins were standing there waiting. Not in their usual tailored suits. Not in anything businesslike or cold. But in fitted, casual clothes that somehow made them look even more dangerous. Jiho was leaning against the glass wall, arms crossed, eyes locked on you like he'd been waiting all night for you to walk in. Minjun stood straighter, posture rigid, expression unreadable. Neither looked like they had slept either. Jiho spoke first. Come here. His voice wasn't loud, but it made every part of you move. You stepped toward them slowly, cautiously, your heartbeat trembling like it wanted to escape your chest. Minjun watched your every step. When you stopped in front of them, Jiho pushed off the wall and circled behind you, his presence warm and solid at your back. Minjun lifted your chin with one finger. So, he said, his voice dangerously soft. Whose name came to your lips first, last night? Your throat tightened. You shook your head. I can't choose. Jiho's breath brushed your ear. Then we'll choose for you. You whipped around, eyes widening. What does that mean? Jiho stepped closer, his gaze slow and deliberate as it swept your face. It means you're not going to run from this anymore. Minjun's voice slid in deeper, firmer. From us. Your pulse fluttered. So, what do you want from me? They exchanged one of those twin glances, silent, loaded, private, before Minjun answered. Honesty. Jiho corrected him gently. No. We want the truth she's been afraid to admit. Your lips parted. Jiho's hand came to your hip. Minjun's hand came to your waist. You felt them both. Your breath hitched. Your balance wavered. Jiho whispered. Your body already knows. Minjun finished the thought. Your mind is just scared to follow. You swallowed hard, your voice barely a breath. What if choosing one of you means losing the other? Minjun's fingers tightened slightly, reassuring, grounding. You won't lose us. Jiho slid his fingers down your arm, slow, intentional. But you will tell us how you feel. Even if you whisper it. Your heart raced so loudly you could barely hear your own thoughts. Minjun stepped closer until you had to tilt your head up to hold his gaze. Do you want Jiho? Jiho's voice came warm and low behind you. Or do you want Minjun? The room felt too warm. Too full. Too charged. I want. But the words tangled in your throat. The twins exchanged another silent conversation in a single glance. Then Minjun stepped back. Jiho did too. You blinked, startled by the sudden distance. "What's happening?" you whispered. Minjun exhaled slowly. "Tonight," he said, voice deep and final, "we're done asking." Jiho's smirk returned, devastating and confident. "Tonight, we decide how this marriage moves forward." Your breath caught. Minjun nodded once. "You've tried to hold back. We've tried to be patient." Jiho added softly. "But patience ends tonight." You felt heat coil low in your belly. "What are you going to do?" They didn't answer. They didn't have to. Minjun walked past you, brushing your shoulder with his arm, just enough to make your knees weaken. Jiho paused beside you, leaning close enough for his lips to hover near your ear. "Prepare yourself, Y/N." His whisper slid through you like a promise. "Tonight, you'll have the both of us." Your breath left you in a shiver. Because you knew. Tonight everything would change. Night fell too quickly. The sky over Seoul glowed with city lights, and the entire penthouse felt different, charged, humming with something you couldn't name. You paced your shared bedroom, your heartbeat fluttering, your palms warm. You were ready. Or maybe you weren't. But tonight was happening. When the door finally opened, you froze. Minjun entered first. Dark suit. Open collar. A quiet storm behind his eyes. Jiho followed. Black shirt. Rolled sleeves. A dangerous calm in his smile. They shut the door behind them. Your breath hitched. Jiho spoke first. "You ran from this for long enough." Minjun added. "But marriage means truth. No matter how terrifying." You swallowed and stepped back as they approached, slowly, deliberately, as though they had already decided how this night would end. Minjun reached you first. He lifted your chin, his touch gentle but firm, his voice steady. "Look at me." You met his eyes, and whatever you were holding in your chest crumbled. "I'm scared," you whispered. Jiho stepped behind you, his presence warm against your back. "Good," he murmured. "That means you feel something real." Minjun's thumb brushed your bottom lip. "Tell us the truth now, Y/N. Do you want us?" You inhaled sharply. Your heartbeat thrashed. "Yes," you whispered before you could stop yourself. "I want you both." Jiho exhaled a soft laugh against your shoulder. "Finally." Minjun's eyes darkened, relief, desire, and something unexpectedly tender flickering through them. "Then tonight," he said, "you're not choosing between us." Jiho leaned forward, his lips grazing the shell of your ear. "Because we're choosing each other. We're choosing you." You trembled, not from fear but from the overwhelming intensity of being wanted by two men who rarely shared anything, except you. Minjun stepped closer, closing the space until you could feel the heat of his breath mingling with yours. "This marriage, it's not a mistake." Jiho's hand found your waist, steady and warm. "It's a promise." You felt both of them at once. Minjun's command, Jiho's temptation, like gravity pulling you in opposite directions and somehow the same direction all at once. Minjun brushed a strand of your hair behind your ear. "We'll go slow. You tell us when to stop." Jiho whispered. "Or when you need more." Your knees softened. Your breath trembled. Your heart opened. You nodded. "I trust you," you whispered. The words seemed to hit both men differently. Jiho's gaze softened. Minjun's jaw tightened as emotion flickered across his face. Minjun cupped your cheek, his voice low. "Then tonight, let us show you what that trust means." Jiho turned you gently so you faced him. "You'll have us," he said, his forehead resting lightly against yours. "Completely." Minjun stepped behind you now, his presence steady, grounding. "And after tonight," he murmured, his tone a promise, "we won't hide what we feel anymore." Your breath trembled. Jiho smiled, not teasing this time but full of something deeper. Y/N. His thumb brushed your jaw. "This is your beginning with us." Minjun finished softly, almost reverently. "And you won't face any of it alone." The city lights glowed around the three of you as the night closed in, warm, breathless, and inevitable. And as you stood between them, held by both of them, claimed without a single explicit touch, you finally understood. You didn't have to choose. Because tonight, you belong to both of them. And they belong to you.